Good afternoon and welcome everyone to CAS 360 Education Week. My name is Sejal Jaiswal and I am one of the account manager here at BGL. Today I will be taking you through managing share transactions and dividends on CAS 360. Just before we start, here are some housekeeping rules. So for any questions during or after the webinar, please feel free to type in the Q&A box and one of my team member will be able to answer your questions. Now, this webinar will be recorded and we will post a recording of it on our BGL YouTube channel. Also, all the attendees will receive an email with the recording link. We're planning to have today's session for approximately half an hour. Of course, for CAS 360 New Zealand Education Week, we've covered few topics already. If you've missed those trainings, you can definitely have the recording of it on our YouTube channel. And of course, we've got one more training left, which is for name reservation and company registrations, which is tomorrow at the same time. Now, in today's session, we're planning to cover the shareholder transactions. I am going to show you the entire dividend feature also, which is on CAS 360. And towards the end, I will share some tips and tricks, some best practices that you can have implemented if you're using CAS 360 for shares and dividends that might help you to streamline. Starting with shareholder transactions, I will take you through the shareholder screen. Of course, we do live check with companies' office data. I will show you that as well, how you can see if there is any mismatch of shares or if there is any mismatch of details. I will show you that. And of course, how we've got certain filters. I'm going to show some sample share transactions also that I will be doing. And of course, how you can manage the existing share transactions, which is already there on the share screen, and how you can prepare documents for your shares, your certificates, and how it can be lodged on company's office. When it comes to dividends, of course, it is one of the major new feature that we have, which is dividends in CAS 360. So I'll show you how a dividend is prepared and how you can create documents for it. And also, if the dividends are already there, how do you review your existing dividends? Now, of course, this is the first page of your CAS 360, which is also the home page or called as company selection screen. Here we have list of all the companies that we have imported from company's office. Now I'm going to take one of the dummy companies and I'm going to show what it is, how we can do share transactions on CAS 360. Now to start with, I will take one of my dummy company under my label, which is Pacific Action. I will click on it. Now on the top, we've got certain tabs, which gives us various details related to this company that we have imported from company's office or done some changes meanwhile. Now, if you see right after your officers tab, you've got shareholders tab. As I click on it, it is going to show me the shareholders transaction screen. Here you will have list of all the share transactions that you've done on CAS 360 or something that you've imported from company's office. Now on the left hand side, if you see, we've got certain filters. First one is your view current shareholders only. If you toggle it on, it will only show you the transactions which is for current shareholders. Just in case if you have extensive shareholding, we've given a filter for that as well. If you toggle this on, it will show you only the ones which is for extensive. Now we also give you a graphical representation of the current shareholding. So we show you what number of shares, what is the percentage of shares, and which shares being held by which person in the firm. Now on this screen, if you see, it starts with date, of course, what the transaction was done. Then you've got the names, right? Just before that, you've got this eye icon, which tells you what the contact details are, just in case if you want to make any changes to the contact or anything like that. One of the new things is that if you have a joint member in any of the transaction, you can just go on I and you will see that here you've got the details for your first member, and then you've got the second member details on the same screen itself. So you can quickly have a look by clicking on this, by hovering on the I icon. And then it tells you the transaction type, the number of shares, if it's been fully paid or not, if there is any certification number that you'd entered. And of course, we know that the print button is nothing but for you to toggle on. If you want to edit or delete any transaction, you can click on options and you will have those options available for you. Now to start with, I am going to do some dummy transaction to show you how a share transaction is done on CAS 360. So on the top, you see there are two buttons available. One is your add transaction and the other one is your dividends. Now, since it's a shareholder screen, so it is going to be an add transaction. Once I click on it, it gives me various options that I can create transaction for. Either I can do an allotment, a share transfer, if I want to do a cancellation. I just have to enter the transaction details and the documents will be prepared. I'll quickly show you how an allotment is done first. So once I click on allotment, there is going to be a form that I can fill in. The transaction date is automatically being picked up. Now it's going to be an allottee. I can pick from one of the contacts, which is given in the options. Or if there is an altogether new contact, I can type in the name. And if they're not in my contacts for this company, I can actually add a new contact directly from here itself. So if you see on the right side, it gives me an option to add a new contact since it's not matching with the contacts that I already have on CAS 360. So I'll just take John Snow. Then it's giving me an option. Are the shares held on or of another person on behalf of another person, organization, or trust? I will toggle this on if this is correct, but if not, I will leave it the way it is. You just have to add the beneficial owner for this one, but if there's nothing, then just leave it the way it is. Now, share type is ordinary share is something that we give you by default. But if there is any other share that you want to add, you can just type in there and you will have that other share type as well. I'm going to select number of shares, which is going to be 10. What is going to be the consideration type? If it's cash or any other from the drop down, you can select. Now the premium paid per share is going to be 10. I'm just taking some random numbers. Meeting status, you can select one from the drop down. If there is any notes related to this transaction, you can add that as well. Now we've given you an option to add certification details too. So if you want to add or edit the certification number, location, or if there is any unique number, you can add those details too. Once I fill up this form, all that I have to do is I have to hit the save button. Now, if you see CAS 360 is giving me a trigger that do I want to prepare forms for this transaction. So if you see the print button has been toggled on, all that I have to do is at the bottom, it's written prepare forms. I will click on it. And CAS 360 on the basis of the details that I've put in the transaction has created all the documents that is required for the allotment. There is a cover letter prepared for you. Then there is company change summary, register of shareholders, allotment journal. There's directors minutes or resolutions. You can change it from minutes to resolution. There's got notice of members meeting. You've got members minutes resolution, members consent, share certificate, and application of shares. All these documents CAS 360 prepares for you. The documents which are mandatory and should be there already, we have toggled it on already for you. But something that you have like extra documents that if you want those documents, still we prepare that for you. And it's totally up to you if you want to use those documents or download those documents or not. In these documents also, the one that we've already created for you and we've already toggled on for you, if you don't want a certain document, you can just go ahead and toggle it off. If you want these documents to be digitally signed, you've got the signing option here, which is the pen icon. You can get it digitally signed as well. So these are the documents that CAS 360 prepares for you. Anything that you want to make any changes to the document, since these are all Word documents that we have, you can edit the templates the way you want to send it to your clients and get them signed. And you can save it at once on CAS 360 itself. So as I said, all our documents are completely customizable. You can customize it the way you want it by adding your own logos or your own wordings. You can edit the documents and only the mandatory forms, that is something that we don't allow you to edit, but rest of the things that you can definitely go ahead and edit them. Now, again, you have an option to upload. If you want to upload anything extra along with this document, you can upload it. If you want to download these documents, you can just hit the button download and it will be all downloaded. And if you want to send it to your client, you can send to your client directly from here and an email will go to your client and they can sign those documents for you. Now, to get the documents digitally signed, you will have to turn on the integration with one of our integrating partners for signing, which is Adobe Sign, DocuSign, or FuseSign. Also, if you want to set up document reminder, you can click here and you can set up document reminders for it as well. So this is how easy your allotment is. All that we did was we added a transaction and fill in the details as per the drop down, and then a trigger was created and we hit prepare forms and all the forms are prepared for you. On the left hand side, if you see, there is a small snippet where we give you all the details as well that you've selected. Now, the same way we do share transfer as well, I can show you a share transfer too. So once I go on add transaction, I can select the fourth one, which is share transfer. As soon as I select that, there is again going to be a form just like how we had for allotment. So maybe let's take, for example, Daryl is transferring some shares to Ellie. It will also show the numbers of shares held. Again, the share type is ordinary by default, but if you have something else, you can add in those details. Again, toggle it on if, held on behalf of another person, organization, or trust. Now we're going to add the number of shares. And if there is any notes, we will add that. Any certification details, we can add those details and hit the save button. As soon as I hit the save button, CAS 360 again is giving me a trigger that do I want to prepare forms for this. So as I click on prepare forms, on the left hand side, CAS 360 is showing me the transaction that I've selected. And it is giving me all the documents that CAS 360 has prepared. So there's a cover letter, a company change summary, register of shareholders, an allotment journal, share transfer journal, director minutes or resolutions, again, members meeting, resolutions, consent, a transfer form, or if there's a waiver of preemptive rights, that, or a share certificate. So all these document CAS 360 prepares for you. Again, if you want to send it to your client, you can send it directly here by hitting the send button. Or else if you just want to download this, you will hit the download button. Or if you want to upload anything extra, you can upload any other document that will go along with this document back to your client. So that's how easy your allotment and your share transfer is. So if you see, all the transactions are out here. And again, if you see on the left-hand side, the graph is also changed because we have added few new transactions. Now, I would like to show you a few more things on the screen about shares before we move to dividends. I can show you how the mismatches are also visible just because we've created this transaction on CAS 360 and we've prepared documents, but we've still not hit the lodge button. So as soon as you hit the download or once you do the send all, so let's take for example, if I did a transfer and I hit on prepare forms. So either I can send it to my client directly from here and it will go in my documents tab, or I can hit the download button. So all that you have to do is go on the documents tab and hit the lodge button out here. Once you hit the lodge button, of course, CAS 360 has been updated, and at the same time, your company's office has also been updated and your documents have been prepared. So that's when the entire share transaction is done, because you have to hit the lodge button to update company's office. Going back to the same company. Now on the top, we see that there are mismatches in the shareholder data. If we want to see what are the mismatches, we'll select on see errors. Now, if you see the transaction that I just created, it's still showing here because it's not updated in company's office yet. I've not hit the lodge button. So it says that CAS 360 has these details. However, company's office doesn't. As soon as I hit the lodge button and the company's office is updated, the mismatch, the error option will disappear because it's been matched already. Now, if you see the top one, it shows that Daryl on CAS 360 has 2 shares. However, on company's office, it's showing 4 shares. I spoke to my client and they said that yes, 4 shares is correct. And that's when I will click on import shareholder. So whatever is updated on company's office will be imported on CAS 360 and both the data would be matched and there would be no error then. So that's how you check the mismatches. It's a live check and you can know if there is any discrepancy in the number of shares, any names, address, it will all show you here. Again, even if you want to quickly have a look at the share register, on the top you've got options. You will get a current register or a historical register, and again the shareholder report as well. So you will get this report which is going to be in Excel format. However, for your current register and historical, it is going to be in the format of PDF. I can show you one report. So this is what the report looks like. This is your register of shareholders. Now moving on to dividends, as it's one of our major features. Here we've got dividends right next to our add transaction for shareholders. So as soon as I click on dividends plus, it will give me an option that if I want to add a dividend or I want to review the existing dividends. So once I click on adding a dividend, it will again give me a form where I can fill in the details to add a dividend. Now, of course, it starts with date declared, year of dividend, and then there's a question, use data declared as the document date. I will toggle it on if that is the case or leave it the way it is. Now, again, the share type by default, it is ordinary, but if it is something else, you can type in there and it will allow you to make those changes. Once I selected ordinary, it is giving me number of shares, which is 40, which has already been there. Now, amount type, is it going to be dividend per share or total dividend? I can select whichever as per the option. Dividend amount, I've kept 10. Now you've got imputed credits. Then you've got dividend tax rate. 28% is by default, but you can change if there's something else. Again, your resident withholding tax rate is going to be 33% by default, but if there's something else, you can make those changes. Dividend payment, if it's in cash or credited to a loan account, or if there is something else, you will select other. And then it will give, if you select other, it will give you an option, what is the other dividend payment? And then comes your payment date and your payment currency. New Zealand dollar is going to be by default, but if you have any other currency, you can select it from the drop down. As soon as I've filled all these details on the form, CAS 360 is giving me an option to save or to save and prepare documents. If I want to prepare documents for this, I will click on Save and Prepare Documents. If you see, it is bringing me to the document production screen right after that. On the left-hand side, it gives a small snippet of whatever I've selected in that form, like the share type, date declared, and all of that. All these details are out here. And here is all the documents that CAS 360 has prepared for me. So a cover letter is there, dividend statement is there, declaration of dividend resolution, notice of members meeting, members minutes, listing of dividends paid, members consent, solvency certificate. Now these documents are again Word documents. This is your listing of dividends paid. Again, these are all Word documents, so you can make the changes and add it at once for your template. You can have multiple templates also, and you can decide it from the options that which template you would like to use. If you go on the option, it gives you an option of document template. You can decide which template I want to use for which client. So all these documents are prepared. Again, if you want to get them digitally signed, turn the pen icon on. If not, just put it off. And again, upload, download, or send all option. So if you see, I've just added the details for dividend and all the documents have been automatically prepared for me with just adding a simple form. I'll just close this and I'll show you how to review a dividend. So as we saw that, on the dividend icon, it gives me two options, which is add dividend if I want to add a new dividend. And at the same time, if I want to review a dividend, I can click on this and it will show me all the dividends that I've already prepared. And it will show me all the details, what is the share type, the dividend amount, the date it was declared, paid. And again, if I want to edit the form, I can edit it as well. And if I want to delete it, I can delete it. Or if I want to just go ahead and prepare forms for this, I can select prepare forms and the forms will be prepared for my dividends. So this was the shareholder screen that we have for every firm. And of course, you can add transactions out here and you can decide the transactions that you want. You just have to toggle the print button on after that and prepare forms for it. And the same way for dividends as well, just add a dividend by clicking on add dividend. And once you filled up the form, the documents will be automatically prepared for you. Like how I showed you the mismatches, which you on the top, you can see there are errors because we've not hit the lodge button for company's office. The same way it will be visible on your first screen, which is your company selection screen. If there is any discrepancy of data, if there is any mismatches, like here, if you see there are certain mismatches, there are shareholding mismatches, you can go directly from here to your shareholdings and see what are the mismatches. If you see there are heaps of transaction and there might be some errors, as soon as I click on errors, it shows me that, there are certain transactions that I did on CAS 360, but I've never updated company's office by hitting the lodge button. There is a difference in the share transactions. Now, email address is not mandatory, so that's not a check that we do. But yes, of course, if there is a difference in the number of shares, you will see that as a mismatch. And again, either you import the shareholder, if you will click on import shareholder, if the company's office is correct, and if CAS 360 is correct, you have to make the transaction and hit the launch button. As I said, the reports are available here, which is under the options where you've got different registers. The same way you've got share register under your reports tab as well. You've got your register of members, shareholders, and all the other registers in case if you're looking for it. You've got people group report, just a very helpful report if you're looking for it.